Hi, change makers, and welcome back to another live training here in the Inspiring Professionals community, where I help you build an exciting, meaningful career for a thriving, sustainable world. And these trainings, they will help you figure out exactly how to get that career that you actually want to wake up to in the mornings. So today I want to talk a little bit about why many mid and senior level professionals find themselves unable to answer the simple question, what would I do if I did not have to do anything? Like, if you had all the money in the world, what would you choose to do with your time? A lot of people don't have a good answer for that. And that's staggering to me because it's super important, right? So if this is something that is on your mind these days, then stick around and we'll take a closer look at it. For those of you who are new, I'm Mads Damgaard. I'm a professional career coach and I'm the founder of the Inspiring Professionals community. I've been engaged with personal and professional development for over 20 years now. And in this community, I'm gathering together 10,000 passionate, exciting people from all walks of life and helping them align their professional lives with their personal beliefs. So in this private community, you can post all of your career questions, get support for any challenges you're facing about finding your dream job, and celebrate all your wins with us. And I'm so happy to have you here. Okay. We'll start out by discussing a little bit about how most people have lost touch with what they really like to do and also why that's a problem. And then I'll share a little process with you about helping you how to get back into touch with the things that bring you real joy into what you do. And if this topic is important to you, then please show your support for the community by putting a like or a comment on it. It helps bring out this message to more members of the group so they might also benefit from it. Okay, so let's get into it. Um, yeah, I always think about, we go to work because we have to, right? Nobody questions the fact that because, it seems out of the realm of possibility that we have a choice in whether or not we go to work and also oftentimes what we go to work for. Um, and some people that I talk to say that maybe that's a good thing, After all, what would we do with our time if we didn't have to earn money? Wouldn't we just be lazy and sit on the couch all day? And it seems like, yeah, many people believe that we're incapable of creating a meaningful life for ourselves if we're given a genuine opportunity to do so, to define everything about our lives, right? But isn't that a problem? I think that's a problem. Doesn't it strike you as odd that we're in actuality depending on some outside force to tell us what to do with the majority of our time? To me, that sounds a bit like learned helplessness because I think we're more than capable of doing that. That's the original way that we're supposed to live our lives, choose how we want to spend this time that we have. So, yeah, when I ask most people about what they would do if they were financially free, most of them tend to avoid the answer. They don't, they want to say something like, "Yeah, I'll go traveling or have some holidays or I'll just be with my loved ones." And that's fine. Those are great things. They're nice, important experiences to have, but they're not really expressions of personal creativity in and of themselves, right? You travel so that you can get input and experiences that you can do something creative with. You spend time with your loved ones to recuperate and to stock up on joy and kind of the feeling of closeness, feeling safe, recovering your energy, so that you can go out in the world and do something with that energy. And in case you're wondering, I'm not saying don't go to work. I'm asking is, what would you go to work for? For no other reason than because it excited and interested you. This is the key. This is the key question that we need to answer, each and every single one of us, right? Because it's really important to get that sorted if you want to live a really deeply fulfilled life, all right? A book that made a big impression on me is The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying by the author Bronnie Ware. And in that book, she recounts the several of the top regrets that she came across as she was taking care of people who were dying of old age. She was working as a palliative nurse. And the number one regret for those people dying of old age was they said, I wish I'd had the courage to live a life true to myself and not the one others expected of me. Okay? And so not knowing what you yourself want to use your time for, that's setting you up for that exact regret when you are old and dying in a hospital somewhere, right? Because chances are that's going to happen at some point. And the thing that these people realize too late is that it's important to live life true to what's really important to you. And if you're like most people who right now are working 50 to 60% of your waking hours for something that you don't care about just to get money, that's not living true to yourself. Or at least that's not what I think, If you could live and work in your full potential with something that excited you, that would be much closer to living life true to yourself. And it gets worse, right? Because on top of that 50 to 60% that you spend working, on top of that, you have to take another 20% or something like that goes into things like grocery shopping, doctor's visits, cleaning, administration. So in the end, only a very small amount of your time is actually, left to do with what you want, the way that most people are living these days. Am I wrong? Maybe I'm wrong. But when I was working as an account manager in a software company, then I did an audit of how much of the time that I had for myself, and I have to say I was not happy with it. And I was single at that time. For people with families, it's even there's even more time that goes into that. And to me, honestly, that's not thriving. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's not thriving. It's kind of more akin to, I would say, surviving. Like you're spending 50, 60% of your time doing something you don't really want so that you can have money to pay for, a small portion of your time where you're doing, what you want. I don't know. I think we can do better. And I'm not saying this to antagonize or criticize because I'm only saying this because I don't want you to have to face your end with that painful realization that I did not live a life true to myself. The second biggest regret for those people that are dying of old age was, I wish I had not worked so hard. And what I think they mean by that is that I wish I hadn't worked so hard for something that I didn't believe in. Okay? Now, I've lost a lot of people over the course of my lifetime, so I know how painfully short life can be. And we have precious little time in this world to do the things that we're here to do. And the first thing we have to find out is, what do we want to spend our time on? Right? There's a wonderful quote by David Viscott that says it perfectly. The meaning of life is to discover our gifts, and the work of life is to develop them, and the purpose of life lies in giving them away. I always love this quote. It's my favorite one because it just sums up everything. This is what it's about. And to begin to find the answer for what you really want to do, it's important to get more connected with what goes on in your inner world, right? You'll have a much easier time listening to all of the various voices that are present inside here. And then you can choose which one of those voices makes sense to listen to at any given time. And there's a lot of those voices. I call them voices. They're not really voices. They're more kind of a feeling, or they can also be experienced as voices. But there's a lot of them. Some of them saying, oh, watch out. Be sure that you don't make a mistake here. They're trying to keep you safe. But there's another one that is what I would call the inner creator. The one that brings out the joy and the happiness and the gets excited about things. And once you let your mind become quiet, you can begin to listen to that faint sound of what you want inside. And Yeah, because it's something that can take a lot of time to get reacquainted with if it's not something that you've spent a lot of time doing. Maybe you've had a lot of time where you just did what you had to do. You know, you had to make things work, so you couldn't do what you wanted to. But now, maybe sometime soon, you can take some time for yourself and find out what it is that you really what does your heart tell you? And the way we do this is with a combination of experimentation and listening intently on the inside for the results of those experiments, right? So, what I would want you to do is to challenge yourself to do new things, meet new people, learn about different things and different points of view, and then feel inside when you're there. When something sparks inside of you, you'll know that you've got something that's interesting, and I want you to take note of it. Maybe write it down in that list of things that you love that I talk about. Have it on your phone because you never know when you might find something, right? So this experimentation process is actually, it's probably something that you've seen in a friend or a relative or a colleague who all of a sudden begins to change and show an interest in new things that might seem out of character. You know, you're like all of a sudden some guy, yeah, starts picking up ballroom dancing, or somebody buys a flashy new car or something like that. And yeah, you know, sometimes people will laugh a little bit and say, "Oh, yeah, he's going through a midlife crisis." And while it does have some characteristics akin to a crisis, to me, the term is more accurate if we call it an awakening. You know, because this person, you know, perhaps for the first time in many years, is trying to find out what they really resonate with deep down. Where do they find their joy? Actually, if they're honest, if they're vulnerable with it. And yeah, this can be a bit of a trying period in a person's life because they're not really sure what's happening. If they're like most people, they just know that they don't want what they used to have, you know, and they're trying to find out in earnest what it is that they actually want. And that's vulnerable. That is, you know, that can make you feel afraid. You know, you often feel lost and aimless, and you're going over here, you're traveling over there, moving around, wondering, when am I going to find that thing that is really right for me? And the thing is, eventually, most people find it, although it can take a lot more time than is necessary. That process will be much more effective and smooth if you know what's going on and approach it deliberately. If you recognize some of what I've been talking about today, there's a good chance that this part of your life is opening up. There's an awakening happening in you. And yeah, so the key message in this training is to start taking time with yourself to try new things and notice how your heart responds with joy to it. What I did when it happened to me, I kind of, because I'm a structured guy, right? That's what I like to structure things. So I you know I found out, sat down and thought about what would be fun to try actually, and then I went for it. I went traveling over the world. I learned to dive again. I took courses in paragliding, or not paragliding, kite surfing, and many, many other things. Um, and that helped me to move forward through this period in a much more deliberate, much more confident manner than I see most people do it. Because for a lot of people, they don't have the people around them that can tell them what's going on, and to have, you know, a kind of a roadmap to make sure that you know what, oh, this is what's happening. So for them, mostly it's kind of a turmoil. It's like, I don't know what I want to do, and it doesn't feel good, right? But what is happening is really good, because it means you're learning something new about yourself. A new chapter is opening up. And for instance, for me, one of the things that surprised me a lot when I found something that really sparked joy in my heart was that I enjoyed something called permaculture. It's a philosophy and a system for growing food in ways that doesn't rely on pesticides and artificial fertilizer, but Instead, works with the principles of nature to protect and feed the crops that you want. This was not something that I had realized that I had an interest in, but the more I started reading about it and watching videos, the more I was completely enthralled by this. All right, and this is where I got connected to a big part of my inner creator. I like that kind of stuff. And when you find these activities that spark an electricity in your heart, you can begin to investigate what's the underlying reason why this is so interesting for me. This activity, what is it bringing to me underneath the kind of the surface level view of it? What's it giving you on a deeper level that lights me up? Really important to look at that. It could be things like freedom or creativity or efficiency or giving others the ability to grow or putting things in order. All of these things. When I work with my clients, we often talk about these things that go underneath. And the cool thing about it is that once you get these kinds of things that you're looking for, or that you brings you joy in activities that you like, you can start to look at job descriptions to find out, oh, can I actually get this underlying thing, even though it might be in a completely different area? Can I get these underlying needs met? And then you've got a really good shot at finding a job that is really right for you, right? So as you get better and better at listening to your inner creator, you'll have this compass that connects you with what you really want in life, you know? Um, yeah, I hope this makes sense. If you have any questions, pop them down below. I'm not seeing any questions here. Um, but yeah, thank you for listening, and I hope it was helpful. I just want to actually ask you in the comments, what's one activity that sparks joy in your heart when you do it? And better not say something like traveling or spending time with loved ones, because as we talked about, that's not really what I mean here. What are the actual activities that light you up just because you enjoy them, right? I'd really love to know in the comments. So let's help each other. Let's share about this stuff here, because if nobody shares, if nobody brings in their concerns, then we all just kind of feel like we're doing it on our own, and it's not really as useful and as helpful as it could be. But anyway, yeah, I hope this was helpful in some way. If you got some value out of it, please put a like or a comment on it and tell me something that stood out to you. And yeah, thank you so much for taking some time with me. I know there's a lot of other things you could be doing with your day. And yeah, I believe that what we do here in the Inspiring Professionals community, in some small way, is helping to build a world that's better and more meaningful. And I really appreciate you joining me here in making that happen. So if nothing else, then to ask you some of the difficult questions that most people spend their whole lives dodging. All right, so looking forward to sharing more tips and insights with you in the next one, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye for now.